years. As we even speak now, all the factories except Narok have closed down because of lack of sugarcane. So this is an area that we want to address so that we get back there. Livestock also grew by 1.6% to the GDP, and fisheries also grew. We were able to earn over $221 million US during that period. The county governments, because this is a devolved function, in 2022-23, county governments invested a total of 334 billion in the agricultural sector, which is also very, very, very high. You find that most of the counties are putting most of their funding in agriculture. We were able to procure 362 tractors across the country. 1.508 metric tons of assorted seeds were also distributed to the farmers. 1.922 cash crops and fruit trees were also distributed throughout the country, and with 2.968 fish fingers also given out. And then in the livestock sector, we had 2.673 animals vaccinated and 87,920 stores of semen procured, which also covered the entire country. Now, for the intergovernmental collaboration to flourish, because that's where we have had a bit of challenges. Even now, right now, we're just addressing the issue of saying that the national government is performing functions that are supposed to be performed by the county governments. I think we are in a discussion where we are complementing each other, national government and the county government, so that what's most important, for example, for the counties is to ensure, for example, the distribution of fertilizer, the last mile fertilizer. The farmer gets the fertilizer, and now it has come down from 7,000 to 2,500. There's a lot of excitement down there, because before that, then it was a big challenge. But for that to happen, we must have joint planning with the national government, which I must thank the minister and his team that we are currently having cordial working relationship, maybe because we worked with the current CS in the Senate, and we have been good friends. There must be full operationalization of the agriculture sector mechanism for consultation and cooperation, that's the JASCOM, which should be a regular forum for us to be meeting and to discuss what we want to discuss. Regularization of the county agricultural sector steering committees, CASCOMs, for continuous dialogue at the county level together among the stakeholders at that particular level. If this was also activated and kept alive, it will play a bigger role. Then we also need to strengthen collaboration in project implementation, that's the co-funding and the joint policy development as instruments for building trust and alignment so that we are not conflicting. And then also we need to prioritize the review of legislation and regulations in the sector to ensure they are updated and aligned to the Constitution to reduce conflict. Because when we know exactly who is supposed to do what, it reduces a lot of conflict among the two levels of government. Then, of course, the challenges, I'm just addressing all of them so that maybe if anything will come up, I'll come back later. Some of the challenges have been access to agricultural financing. For example, 4% of the commercial banks is in agribusiness, yet most of the people are actually employed in agriculture. Then there's also low use of fertilizer and other agricultural inputs. I think this was as a result of the high cost. You can imagine a farmer down there in the rural areas purchasing one bag of fertilizer at 7,000. It has really been a burden, but I think with the cost coming down, we are going to see an uptake of the use of fertilizer, and we are going to encourage that. Then there's low irrigation. I think we depend on rainfall. 83% of Kenya's land areas, is arid and semi-arid, and only about 2% is under irrigation, which is compared to what the average percentage in Africa is 6%, and Asia is 7%. So we'll need to challenge that instead of relying on rain agriculture, we also get into irrigation. So those are some of the challenges that maybe we are facing in the sector, and we should be addressing to be able to increase production. And of course, the way forward will be to improve the bottom-up economic transformation agenda better, which has outlined most of the things that really need to be done. This was based on the facts that were collected when I think the Kenya County administration went round that time, talking to farmers and talking to all stakeholders on what they wanted to do. So a lot of the recommendations are already captured in what I've said. Thank you, moderator.
Thank you very much, sir, and thank you so much for keeping the time. And I want to recognize that as the lead for the World Bank Agriculture, I have firsthand seen how Your Excellency, you and the Cabinet Secretary and the Principal Secretary have really gone out of your way to ensure better national-county collaboration. So this is great news for the agriculture sector in Kenya. So thank you so much for your remarks, sir. Let me come to His Excellency Governor Benjamin Cheboy. Sir, I think, as you know, livestock farming is a vital source of livelihood in the Sal counties. Considering the last decade, how would you assess the performance of the livestock sector? What are the key milestones achieved and critical challenges that have been faced? And what specific opportunities you think, sir, exist for the Asal counties to further develop and transform the meat and leather sectors and other sectors, which will encourage jobs generation? Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Vituku. Livestock farming is a vital source of livelihood, especially in the Asal areas, arid and semi-arid lands, counties, and presents significant potential for economic development. Considering the last decade, livestock farming is a vital source of livelihood in Asal counties and also other counties that rely on dairy farming. This provides income and employment for millions of people. The sector is worth $10 billion, contributing 10% of the GDP and 43% of the agriculture GDP. Red meat and the dairy sector collectively make up 75% of the livestock sector GDP. The sector has the potential to contribute significantly to economic development in these areas, but it faces a number of challenges. In the last decade, there have been some key milestones achieved in the livestock sector in Asal counties, such as increased livestock productivity through the introduction of improved breeds and better management practices. I can tell you all counties have procured livestock and AI services for their people, and that has led to the increase of productivity. Increased access to markets through the development of new trade routes and the construction of infrastructure. I can tell you in almost most counties, particularly the Asal counties, with the support of the World Bank and the national government, we have been able to build markets and create infrastructure for marketing of products. Increased investment in the sector from both the public and the private sectors. A lot of Kenyans in the private sector have also invested in the sector through investment in the beef marketing processes or milk processing processes, such that it can improve the livestock sector in our counties. I'm not saying it's just in the Asal counties, it's in all counties where livestock is a source of income. However, there are still a number of challenges that need to be addressed. These include, but not limited to, drought and other climate change related events that can have had a devastating impact on livestock production. Last year alone, I think Kenyan farmers lost upwards of 2 million animals due to drought. And this, of course, is related to climate change. The increased frequency and impact has really affected availability of feed and lack of access to credit and other financial services, which can make it difficult for farmers to invest in their businesses. The truth of the matter is that the biggest challenge we have in the livestock sector is animal feed, both in quantity and in quality. If there is any area that government, both tiers of government, must invest in to be able to realize greater productivity in the livestock sector, it is in the manufacture of feeds, both for beef and for dairy. We also have a challenge of poor infrastructure, which can make it difficult to transport livestock to the markets. A lot of our livestock in Kenya are to be found in northeastern counties and in the North Rift. And these counties have got one unique characteristic: the infrastructure for transportation. By the time you are transporting animals from Mandera, Garissa, Wajir, all the way to the markets in Nairobi, it will be very expensive for you to do that. And by the time you are reaching Nairobi, the cost of transportation is almost greater than the cost of sales, in addition to the cost of production of the livestock. And remember that we have got very few livestock processing plants, meat processing plants in these regions. They have to come to urban areas like Nairobi so that they can be processed there. Low value addition. Only 1% of the cattle going through feedlots and 25% of milk is being processed. So a lot of our milk that is produced within the livestock production areas is transported raw to milk processors in Nairobi and other urban centers. That is a challenge. The biggest challenge, of course, is the fact that there is declining productivity. This is something that we need to address, and this is something that we need to debate on in this forum. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, and thank you so much for so clearly articulating the issues of the ASAL counties.
Thank you.
And as a representative of development partners, I'd like to assure you that we are truly committed to supporting the ASAL counties on all the issues that you very well articulated.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for your remarks, sir. I would now request Honorable Linturi, the Cabinet Secretary, to come in. I have a special bond with you, sir. You are the only person who addresses me by my complicated last name, Vutukuru. And I look at it very affectionately, so thank you so much. My parents will be very happy that somebody is calling me Vutukuru. So, sir, I think the question to you is, what strategies and policies is the ministry devising to revitalize the agriculture sector and improve our food security? And how's the ministry addressing the digital divide to ensure that the benefits of these digital technologies are accessible to all farmers regardless of their scale of operations? Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Vitkru. And I think before I get to answering your question, allow me really appreciate the conveners or the governors for this important event and for inviting me to be a panelist in this discussion, and especially on the sub-theme of this discussion, which is strong food systems for food security and inclusive growth, and how we can create the pathways of transforming our county food systems. This thing will not have come at a better time than now, because I think this topic is important that we discuss it candidly, because the world is threatened because of